just had our first look at Samsung's new foldable phones, the Galaxy Z Fold 5 and Z Flip 5. So what exciting features are here with the new generation? Let's find out in our hands-on video. Just like the previous generations, the Z Fold 5 unfolds from a standard smartphone size to a mini tablet, whereas the compact Z Flip 5 unfolds from a clamshell shape to that of a typical phone. Over the years, the designs for foldable phones haven't changed drastically, but have gradually become more and more refined. This year though, we see some bigger changes, in particular when it comes to the flip. The Z Flip 5's cover screen, now called a flex window, fills the whole space on the folded phone, except for a cutout where it goes above the cameras. It's a 3.4-inch AMOLED, with a pixel density of 306 ppi and a 60 Hz refresh rate. This is a major change compared to the 1.9-inch cover screen on the Z Flip 4. It's not the first flip phone to bring an edge-to-edge secondary display though. That honor goes to the Motorola Razr 4D Ultra. It's also worth pointing out that the Razr's cover screen is higher res and has a higher refresh rate, as well as support for full-fledged apps. There are widgets for all sorts of different functions, like the weather, a calendar, or even a step counter. You can add and even download more widgets, and there's third-party support as well. And within the multi-widget view, you can see a bunch of them all at once, like you're in an app drawer. On the Flex View display, you have plenty of interesting backgrounds to choose from. You can receive notifications and reply to texts without even having to open the phone. And of course, you can access settings/quick toggles from here too. The new display on the Z Flip 5 is probably the most dramatic change this year, but there are plenty of other things to talk about as well. A notable upgrade is the new chipset. Both the Z Fold 4 and Z Flip 4 bring the most powerful Android hardware, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Galaxy, which debuted on the S23 series. This means better performance and efficiency, and support for the new UFS 4.0 memory tech and LPDDR5X RAM. Plus, the Z Fold 5 packs a larger vapor chamber this year for better thermal management. Although both the Z Fold 5 and Z Flip 5 bring the same overall design language we're used to, there have been some nice refinements. For example, the Z Fold is now noticeably thinner and 10 grams lighter than before. And both phones are protected front and back by sturdier Gorilla Glass Victus 2. And a new development is the Flex hinge, made from sturdy armor aluminum and reinforced by a dual rail structure to be extra durable. The new hinge allows both the Z Fold 5 and Z Flip 5 to fold flat, unlike the previous generations, which always maintained a bit of a gap between the two halves. And like before, both phones bring ingress protection against water at IPX8. We've talked about the new Flex View display, but the Z Flip 5's 6.7-inch foldable inner screen hasn't changed much. The specs here are the same as last year. You can say the same about the cover screen of the Z Fold. The 6.2-inch OLED is back, with again a 23:9 aspect ratio, slightly narrower than competitors. What Samsung did mention is that the Z Fold 5's inner display is brighter this year, but it's again a 7.6-inch foldable OLED with a 120 Hz refresh rate. The crease where the screen folds over is quite flat, but there is no difference over last year's model. Stylus support is back on the Z Fold, along with all the benefits that come with it. You still don't get a holder for the stylus built into the phone though. But this year's stylus is thinner and more compact. Within the Z Fold's interface, you get a taskbar at the bottom for quick shortcuts, with easy access to recent apps. It's quite easy to drag and drop app icons and start multitasking, with up to 3 apps on the split screen at once. On top of that, you can have apps open within floating windows. And now you can minimize those floating apps into a bubble on the side of the screen, to be hidden yet accessible. You can interact with the UI with both hands now. With one hand you can select an app or image, and the other manipulates the screen around it for a drag and drop. The Flex Mode panel appears on the bottom half when the phone is partially folded. It includes a touchpad and a toolbar, and this year the controls for video playback are expanded to fill the screen. Both the Z Fold 5 and Z Flip 5 run Samsung's One UI 5.1.1. And each device has extensive software support for 5 years of security updates and 4 generations of OS upgrades. Pretty much all the other features we've seen before in last year's models. You get the same battery capacities, the same charging and wireless charging, and stereo speakers. The cameras are the same too. On the Z Fold 5, there's a 50 megapixel main cam, a 10 megapixel 3x telephoto, and a 12 megapixel ultra-wide cam. And the Z Flip5 has a 12-megapixel main cam and a 12-megapixel ultra-wide camera. Though the hardware is the same, the image processing should be better thanks to the more powerful chipset. Here's a sneak peek of what these cameras can do, straight from Seoul, where Samsung held its Unpacked event this year. Although these samples you just saw were all shot handheld, you can take advantage of the foldable form factor to stabilize the devices on a table while shooting. And of course, a huge benefit is being able to use the main cameras to take selfies, using the front screen as a viewfinder. So there you have it guys, the Z Fold 5 is starting at $1,800 while the Z Flip 5 is going for $1,000. They look like a nice refinement over the previous models, but do you think enough has changed to be worth an upgrade? Let us know in the comments, and I'll see you soon with our full review.